Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jay Schenirer, your City Council person from District 5. Welcome to District 5. This is our third live chat that we've done. We did last week and then the week before that as well. And I want to welcome everyone. What we're trying to do is bring a little bit of information to you all every week about something that we're working on, particularly that is COVID related. Today, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about teen mental health. It's a huge issue, as many of you know, in the city. So I want to provide a little bit of context, talk about a specific initiative called Cities Rise Sacramento. And then I'm going to have Bina Lefkowitz come and talk with us as well, who is running the Sacramento Cities Rise initiative. So a few things. One is I talked a little bit last week about a phone call that Lisa Murawski from the school board and I put together, that we invited youth organizations to come and talk about what their young people were feeling, what their families were feeling, and what were the most important issues. At the end of the call, we had about 67 different individuals and organizations on the call. At the end of the call, we came out with 4 buckets of information that people were interested in further discussing. One was around technology. How do we make sure that our young people have the hardware, the connectivity, and the adults have the professional development to move into this new virtual world that we're all in. The second piece was around the unsheltered and homelessness, and what can we do for young people there as well. A third piece that we talked about was connectivity. How do we make sure that young people are connected socially to each other and to adults so that they have those relationships that we know are so important. And a fourth piece was really around teen mental health. And I think that was overwhelming for people, saying this is an important issue that we need to talk about, that we need to provide more support for our young people. So we've taken that issue, and we know that there are a lot of pieces that are going on around the city. We horribly had a couple of youth suicides a few weeks ago. That even more catalyzed the issue, I think, for everyone. We know that young people are feeling isolated. We know that they are depressed in some ways. We know that our college or high school seniors are, some of them, devastated by missing prom, by missing graduation, all of those things that really are so important in their lives, life cycle events as they grow up and get older. So what we wanted to do was talk a little bit about the Cities Rise initiative. Cities Rise is a global initiative that is in 5 cities around the world. It's in Bogota, it's in Chennai, India, in Nairobi, in Seattle, and in Sacramento. In Sacramento, it's been going on now for 2 years or so, maybe a little bit more. Been working with a lot of young people around a set of awards called the Youth Challenge Awards, where 5 organizations working with young people, led by young people in many cases, have gotten significant monetary rewards for making sure that young people know what they can do, where they can go, and their own initiatives around creating positive environments for youth. So with that, I want to bring Bina Lefkowitz into the screen here. Many of you know she's also my wife, but someone who's been working with youth for a very, very long time here. One of the experts that we have here in Sacramento. So I'm going to turn it over to her and let her talk about Cities Rise, what they're doing and what they hope to do. Bina?
Hi, Jay. Thank you. I think for anyone those of you who know me, you know I'm a passionate advocate for our young people, and I feel so privileged right now to be working with Cities Rise. I can't imagine a more important topic to be speaking about teen mental health and well-being, especially during this time of COVID. At Cities Rise, when we talk about mental health, we talk about mental health and mental well-being, and we think of it in 3 ways. One is making sure young people feel connected to each other and to caring adults around them and to their community. Making sure young people have access to caring environments and caring supports, particularly from if they're in need of care from like a mental health provider. And the third is coping and hope, making sure young people have the ability to gain coping skills and to envision their future and see a sense of hope in the world. And we think young people who possess those three things are more likely to be mentally well and doing well. Jay mentioned that one of our efforts at Cities Rise is the Youth Challenge Awards, and these were mini grants given to youth leaders and their adult ally organizations. And mostly they were to really promote youth innovations and youth-led ideas. And that's the other thing I want to say about Cities Rise. Cities Rise is really about mobilizing the voice of young people and the talents of young people to help the city become a mental health friendly city. And so the Youth Challenge Awards was one way to do that. And one organization called Youth Forward is mobilizing young people to do advocacy, particularly around getting more peer helping support to youth. The second group is a group called Waking the Village, which works with homeless youth, and they're activating their homeless young people to create music and to express their emotional needs using music as the venue. The other three groups are Improve Your Tomorrow, the LGBTQ Center, and Greenhouse. And all three of those groups are trying to equip their young people who they work with the ability to speak about mental health, to understand mental health so that they can then speak to their peers around mental health and well-being. The other initiative we're working on is the city has been doing something called pop-ups, which is a place where young people have been coming like Friday nights, and they get to, this is when, before COVID, when young people were able to play games and get food and build community and have fun together. And there's 28 of those pop-ups. So when COVID hit, we started working with the pop-ups to help them go virtual so that they could still stay connected to their young people. And we're just seeing amazing things happening with young people themselves leading these pop-ups, doing performances on the pop-ups, spoken word and art projects. And so really it's about keeping connected even in a time of physical distancing. And Cities Rise is also trying to connect our mental health providers to these pop-ups to give young people a chance to meet people in the mental health field so that they can get to know them so they're not strangers. So if they need help, they can reach out during a pop-up to say, hey, I need to talk to an adult about something that's bothering me. So we actually provide space in the pop-ups for young people to go sit virtually, if you will, in a quiet room with an adult who they can seek some advice and counseling from. The third initiative we're working on is a survey of young people. This is a global survey, and in Sacramento, we were able to survey about 250 youth. And what we're learning from our young people, and I don't know if Jay's staff can put up the one PowerPoint.
Not on this.
No, okay. So anyway, what we're hearing from young people, and again, this is our attempt to really listen to what our youth are saying. This survey was the attempt to lift up the voices of our youth. So as Jay mentioned, we're hearing our young people are feeling isolated, they're feeling disappointed, they're feeling afraid, they're feeling very anxious. And so I think that's important to help them validate their feelings. We're currently working with some musicians and other people in the community to help get messages out to young people that they're not alone, that it's okay to feel sad or to feel afraid right now. And then to also help them navigate to find resources. The other thing we learned in the survey is 65% of our youth who responded said they don't know where to get help. They are likely to talk to their peers and their family, but if they actually needed like professional help, or if they needed, if God forbid, they were thinking about suicide, they don't know where the suicide lines are. They don't know where to get mental health support. So the last thing I wanted to share, and we can post this on the Facebook Live later, is we do have a short resource guide that we created that has like 5 to 10 top resources in the community, particularly county funded resources that are places where young people can go. They're really youth-focused resources. There's a group called The Source that provides 24/7 crisis intervention. If a young people calls, they are able to immediately get back to that young person to help them figure out what's going on and what their solutions could be. There's another group called the Youth Help Network, which has amazing resources, both online and virtual, and to help young people. So anyway, our goal is to help young people connect to those resources that they need. So those are some of the things we're doing. We believe young people have the solutions. We all just need to listen to them and support them in helping to create a youth-friendly city. And I think the most important thing we all can do right now is we can all reach out to a young person we know and just check in with them and let them know things will be fine and they're not alone. And if they need to talk, they should definitely reach out. So I'm glad to take questions, and I'd really be interested in hearing from you all about what are you observing in terms of how COVID has affected the youth and families in your communities and yourselves.
Great, thank you. I feel like we're in the Big Bang Theory and Fun with Flags. I think there's a number of things, and if people want to write in, we certainly can answer your questions. But I think it's important. We're in the moment right now with COVID where we need to really provide these extra resources and make sure we're communicating with our young people, letting them know where they can go for help and all of that. I think it's also important to build an infrastructure in the city and certainly in the entire region that is youth-friendly, that really prevents us from getting into these situations where young people don't know where to go or who to talk to. Some of those things I think that the city is doing, and we need to really engage the city. We need a youth voice in thinking about what we're doing. So I want to list a few things that we've done over the last year or so that I think are kind of leading both California and the nation in how we become a youth-friendly city. So one of the largest things we did is back in October, with regional transit as a partner to the city and a number of the other municipalities around, we started providing free transportation to all young people K-12. It was really an amazing success. The city put in $1 million. We got some additional funds from others, and within the first month, youth ridership had gone up 40%. Month number 2, which was November, another 40% or so year-over-year increases. In December, we were at about 72% increase over the prior year. And that's at a time when youth are generally not riding public transportation as much because they're not going to school because of the holidays. January and February were even better. January was 106% increase, and February was 126% increase. So for that $1 million, what we've been able to do is get tens of thousands of young people's rides on regional transit for free, so that they can get where they need to go, whether it be work, whether it be school, or whether it be for social experiences. Really important, and we want to keep doing that. No other city in the country at scale had done what we've done, and certainly the experience and the evaluations will show how positive this has been for young people. It's a win-win. I mean, certainly climate-wise, getting young people out of cars and onto public transit is a good thing. Creating lifetime riders is good for regional transit because at some point they'll start paying, but hopefully keep continuing to ride. It's great for the schools for a couple of reasons. One is you can't teach students if they're not there. Transportation was really signaled as the #1 issue in chronic absences for young people. And so good for schools in that way, and also good for schools and their average daily attendance. Schools get reimbursed by the state based on the number of young people that are attending school. So that's one thing that we did. And all of what we're doing, we're trying to do in conjunction and in collaboration with the Youth Commission of Sacramento. We don't want this to be adults saying, we know what you need, we're just going to do these things, but really we're going to do them with you. The second thing that we're currently working on, and COVID has put a little bit of a pause in what we're doing, is to put young people on our boards and commissions. So whether it's the Planning Commission, whether it's the Parks and Recreation Commission, whether it's our Police Commission, having that young person's perspective as we think about issues that impact the city, and particularly that impact young people, is really important. We went to the Youth Commission and said, we'd like to work with you on this. They've been great. They said, we want to start with 3 commissions, Parks and Rec, Police, and one other, which I will remember soon. We're currently working on how to do that. The next thing that we're going to do is we will be spending a fair amount of money from the city on youth programming. Some of you may have read in the paper today, I believe, we just got our federal stimulus dollars, which are $89 million. That is money that needs to be spent this year. Some of that money will go certainly to filling gaps because of the huge decrease in our revenues as a result of not having much sales tax because people aren't buying things right now. But we really want to work with young people to decide what the best use of those monies are in thinking about youth programming. So at this point, we're working with our city staff to do a joint meeting between the City Council and the Youth Commission, where young people can really voice their ideas about what they need. As we move forward, piece by piece, we really want to make sure that we are including and engaging young people as we think about the issues that most impact their lives. Every young person deserves the resources, the access, and the opportunities to be successful. I think that's our responsibility, both as electeds and simply as adults in the city and carrying Sacramentans. So those are some of the things that we'll be doing. We'll continue to work with our young people to let them tell us what's most important as we go piece by piece. I was talking to one of our city folks today who said, I know that at the end of the day, you want to have a young person on the city council. I think that's something that we can do. When I was on the school board for 8 years, there was always a slot for a young person to be elected out of the school district in Sac City Unified. And I think that hearing from that young person over that period of time was one of the most valuable things that we did. They're in the system day to day. They know what's going on. They can represent their peers in a really positive way. So those are the things that we really wanted to talk about today. I don't see any questions on the board now. We've had about 500 views on this broadcast the last couple of weeks. We hope that continues to be the same. We want to invite you back next week. What we hope to do is start talking with some of our neighborhood leaders on a weekly basis. So we're talking to them now, and we'll try to have probably 2 neighborhood leaders on each of these broadcasts. We also want to talk about transportation next week and what's going on with the city's Sacramento Transportation Authority and the possible transportation bond that we're going to put on the ballot, maybe in November, depending on what the environment looks like. So with that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Wish you a safe and healthy day, and be well.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.